So today I want to share with you how I make my scones or scones, but we're not going to get into that debate. It's nearly the Queen's Platinum Jubilee and I want tall, beautiful, fluffy, soft scones filled with clotted cream and jam. Are you with me? So today I'm going to be doing a proper tutorial and some tips and tricks of how to get them lovely, soft, fluffy and high. So stay with me. And no special gadgets today. No, not going to be using the food processor or the mixer. Good old bowl method and hands. So first things first, you need to preheat your oven to 200 degrees centigrade. And you need to make sure that you've got a baking tray ready with some parchment paper. So first things first, you're going to need a nice big bowl and in there 500 grams of plain flour. Ideally, if you can get something called 00 flour, that's better. It just means that it's been really finely milled. So just sieve it if you can't get hold of it. So 500 grams of plain flour there. And then we're going to pop in some bicarbonate of soda once you can get the top off, and you want 1 heaped teaspoon of that to go in. And then this cream of tartar, it works wonderful for things like scones, for meringues, for anything that needs a really good rise and bake. And we're going to put 2 teaspoons of that in, 2 heaped teaspoons. So in that goes. One quick word. So many people say that they don't have a cake rise or something hasn't gone to plan. You know, they've done everything to the rules and it hasn't risen. Why is that? Check your dates on all your rising agents. And if you're using self-raising flour, please make sure that it's properly in date too, because there are 2 things there that can actually spoil your dish, your raising agents and any flours, although we're using plain flour today, so it's not so much of an issue. And then I'm just going to get my hands in and I'm just going to mix those round first so that they're all combined in there. Some butter, proper butter, 130 grams, and it's cool, chilled and sort of cubed. We're just going to pop that in. Go in with a rubbing in action. So that's just sort of using the fingertips and just rubbing the butter into the flour. This takes a few minutes, but what we're aiming for is almost like a breadcrumb type mixture. So as you can see there, it's almost as if like the butter's disappeared and you're just left with like grainy sand. So it just takes about 5 minutes, but just real nice and gentle through the tops of your fingers and it will all come together beautifully. Then we're going to add in 50 grams of cast sugar, 1 beaten egg, so in that goes. And then we're going to add in 275 mils of buttermilk. Now, don't be too concerned if you can't find buttermilk. For me, it just gives a nicer texture. You could just use 275 mils of normal milk. But in that goes. You see, it's got quite like a yogurt-like consistency. For me, it does just change and elevate that taste slightly. Where can you find it? Most supermarkets. Finding it actually in the supermarket can be a challenge. Sometimes it's with the yogurt, sometimes it's with the milk, sometimes it's with the creams. So, happy hunting. Now what we're going to be doing is stirring and mixing all this in. Stir away. Now, I was under strict instructions from husband today, who seems to now dominate my channel as to what he wants and what he doesn't want, that he didn't want currants in it. And there's a very good reason why he doesn't want currants in this. If you were to want to put currants in, you'd do it now. Just put a couple of handfuls in. Sultanas, whatever. But the reason why he doesn't want currants is because he knows the dog is actually going to be at his feet begging for these and doesn't want to have to pick out all the currants to share with him. So that was his reason. The dog. Yeah, you've heard it all now. So I'm just bringing this together with a spoon to start, but then I'm going to be tipping it out onto this work surface here. And you may think, looking at it now, That's still a bit dry. This is one of the top tips that I'm going to give you. Yes, some of you make your scones too wet and then we've got problems. So what I'm going to do now is just move that spoon out the way and I'm going to tip all this onto the top. Don't be alarmed with what it looks like because it's all going to come together nicely. So just bring it all together. Just pick up those loose bits and don't be afraid about it being almost like dry because it's going to work beautifully. Trust me on the process. Now, get ready for the next top tip because it is actually how far do you roll it to? Well, I'm not rolling it. I'm actually just using my hands to bring it together. I do not want to roll it out too thin. The minute I do that, I'm not going to get a nice rise on a scone. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Can you see? It's about an inch thick. So let's talk cookie cutters. Yeah, this is what we're going to use to cut out the scones. And many people I see making scones do this. And they put it down and then no, because that can sometimes make your scones look like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. The idea is that you have to try and put it down straight and lift up straight. That is one of the top tips I can give you. You will still occasionally have the odd moment where one goes a bit skew-if, but some go really skew-if, and that can be because you've used the twisting action. So just push down, lift up, and then place onto your baking tray. So baking tray at the ready, cookie cutter down, and lift up. Don't worry about all this excess dough. Nothing is going to go to waste. All you're going to do is just mould it back again. There we go. So, got to the last bit. Well, it's not going to make the most prettiest of scones, but my dog has suddenly made an appearance in the kitchen and is looking. I think we could actually, just make him his own special doggo scone. Don't think I'll give that one to guests though. So as you can see, I've given them enough space there to manoeuvre. And now all that is left is for me to slightly glaze the top with a bit of milk. And I like to also sprinkle over some demerara sugar.
Why not subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that way then you'll know where to find this great recipe.
You want Annette? Yeah? Ho ho ho! Come on then, Maxie. All right, steady down.